Today we're going to learn about intersections, intercepts, okay? The x-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. X-intercept, x-axis. The y-intercept of a line is the y-coordinate of where it crosses the y-axis. Nothing tricky, okay? Biggest thing to remember is x is your horizontal axis. It's always usually labeled too. And y is your vertical, okay? So if we look at this graph, the x-intercept, where does the line cross the x-axis on that graph? On the bottom, what number is that at? 12, very good. So my x-intercept is 12. Y-intercept, 16, bless you. Okay, biggest thing, x is on the bottom, y is running up and down. Sometimes on the left, sometimes it's in the middle. Since any linear equation or a line can be graphed using 2 points, you can use the x and y intercepts to graph an equation. Okay, so what they did here is they gave us the graph and then they wanted us to tell what the intercepts are. The opposite of this is problem like so says state the x and y intercepts of y equals 1.5x minus 9, then use the intercepts to graph. Okay, here's what you need to know. Every y-intercept, x equals 0. Every y-intercept, x equals 0. So we take our equation, and instead of an x, we're going to put in 0. Y equals 1.5, put a 0 in parentheses for x, minus 9. Now, when I have 1.5 next to that x, or when I replaced it with 0, it really means I'm multiplying. 1.5 times 0 is 0. Anything times 0 is 0. So they actually cancel out, which means my y-intercept is at negative 9. Okay, y-axis, I need to put a point at negative 9. Where is negative 9? Very good. 0, 0, go down 9 and put a dot. Ooh, almost at the bottom, right? Okay, I want you to think about this. Every y-intercept, x was 0. So every x-intercept, y is 0. The opposite letter is always 0. So now we take our equation, but instead of y, I'm going to put a 0. So this would be 0 equals 1.5x minus 9. Now this one's not quite as easy. We actually have to use our Chapter 2 solving equations skills to get x by itself. So if I cover up 1.5x, I got to get rid of a negative 9. How do I move negative 9? We add 9. Very good. Add 9 to the other side. So now I have 9 equals 1.5x. Then what do? Divide by 1.5 on both sides. Nine divided by 1.5, 6. So my x-intercept is at 6. So on my x-axis, where do I go to get to 6? On your x-axis runs this way, to your right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So on Alex, the nice part about us doing this online, right, is it will draw that line for us. Okay, so once you have these 2 dots, you have a line that connects the 2 of them to draw it. Put that away. Put that away. You don't know how to do it, so put it away. You don't know how to do it. Say it to me again. Do you have another calculator? I do not. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one. Y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5. Okay. First one. Every x-intercept. What do you know? Every x-intercept. What do you know? Look back. What do you know on every x-intercept? Y equals 0. Mine's on the top of the next page. Your guys' is not. Just stay right where you are. Y equals 0. So take your equation and put in 0 for y. 0, bless you, equals negative 1/3 x plus 5. This is where I have to solve this. If I cover up negative 1/3 x, what do I need to get rid of? 5. How do I get rid of that, Sam? Very good. I subtract 5 to both sides. Negative 5 equals negative 1/3 x. Yep. Now what do I do? Careful. I have a fraction coefficient. This is where I multiply by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by negative 3/1. Negative 3 times negative 5. Negative 3 times negative 5. Positive or negative? Positive 15. So my x-intercept is at 15. So on your x-axis, now we got to be careful here. Look at how they're counting. Where is 15 on the x-axis? Tone? Behind or in front of? In front of, right? It's smaller. It's smaller. Okay? Every x-intercept, y is 0. Every y-intercept, what do you know? What is 0? X is 0. Stop. X is 0. Okay? So take your equation, put in 0 for x. Y equals negative 1/3 times 0 plus 5. What happens here? Okay, so what happens? Very good. Negative 1/3 times 0 is 0. So really we're left with y equals 5. So my y-intercept occurs at 5. Okay? So it's right, say it again, above your 4, correct? Right above your 4. And then you would take and connect these two. It's kind of hard because we're not on the computer. I didn't give you a ruler. It shouldn't do a swoop. It should be a straight line. I just don't have a ruler. I'm going to skip the bottom right one. I want to go to the back side. You guys can do this one once I explain it to you. Don't say the answer out loud. They're going to give you a graph today, and they're going to ask you for the x-intercept, and there's going to be a blank. And they're going to ask you for the y-intercept, and there's going to be a blank. All you have to do is read the graph. But what's tricky is keep track of which one's the x and which one's the y. I want to know, where does the line cross the x-axis? That's the x-intercept. Where does the line cross the y-axis? That's the y-intercept. So everybody take a minute. and look at, just like we did on the front side, what is your y-intercept, what is your x-intercept. Make sure they're labeled. Make sure you know which. We did this right at the beginning. The very first problem, you guys told me the x-intercept was 12, the y-intercept was 16. Okay, everybody on their own, read that graph. Which one's the x-intercept? Which one's the y-intercept? I want you to sit and be quiet. I'm not looking at anyone's. You're not making a point. They're two separate numbers. They're two separate answers. Okay? Y-intercept, your y-axis, I highlighted for you. Where does it cross the y-axis? -4. Your y-intercept is at -4. Your x-axis, where does it cross your x-axis? -3. You know what the hard part about this is? Sometimes they'll put y-intercept first, and sometimes they'll put x-intercept first. So just watch really closely which one's x and which one's y. Okay? Find the x and y intercept of the line. Find the x and y intercept of the line. Okay, here we go. What do you know about every x-intercept? Which one equals 0? Y equals 0. Every x-intercept, y equals 0. So we take our equation and put in 0 for y. X plus 2 times 0 equals 4. Okay, and we talked earlier, 2 times 0 really is 0. So x ends up equaling 4. Well, that one was easy, wasn't it? Okay, then we switch. What do you know about every y-intercept? X equals 0. So now take your equation and put 0 in for x. 0 plus 2y equals 4. Now be cautious here. Your 0 really is gone, but now I have 2y equals 4. What do I have to do? Get rid of the 4. I have to divide by 2. Y equals 2. It's like solving equations back in chapter 2. The reason we didn't have to go further on this side is because really there was a 1 in front of that x. You're going to do this process over and over and over today. Every x-intercept, y is 0. Every y-intercept, x is 0. Okay? So we go to the next one. Ready? Directions are exactly the same. Find the y-intercept and the x-intercept of the line. Which one do you want to do first? X-intercept. What do you know about every x-intercept? What do you know about every x-intercept? Y equals 0. So take your equation, put in 0 for y. 4x plus 9 times 0 equals -13. 9 times 0 is 0. So really, we can cross it off. So I have 4x equals -13. By rule of solving equations, what do? Divide by what? 4. And most of you are like, it's a decimal. And guess what? The computer's not going to let you type in a decimal. So remember the rules. Ms. Hoff always says, drag down that fraction. And then ask yourself, can anything go into 13 and 4? 13 is prime. So x equals -13 fourths. It's okay that we end up with a fraction. So now we swap. What do you know about every y-intercept? X equals 0. So we plug in 0 for x. 4 times 0 plus 9y equals negative 13. What's 4 times 0? 0. So you have 9y equals negative 13. What do I do? Divide both sides by 9. So my y-intercept is okay, it's a decimal. So what do I do then? Very good. Just drag down negative 13 over 9. If it's a decimal, that's fine. It doesn't mean you made any type of mistake, but you drag it straight down. Okay, this last one you guys are going to do on your own, and then I'm going to show you the answer. Graph a line whose x-intercept is 9 and y-intercept is 7. These are two separate points that you're going to plot. The x-intercept put on the x-axis, the y-intercept put on the y-axis, and then we're going to draw a line to connect them. Okay? Notice they're even labeled for you. X-intercept, y-intercept. Put a dot on the x-axis at 9 and a dot on the y-axis at 7. How do you know what? How do you know what? Put a dot on your x-axis at 9 and a dot on your y-axis at 7. You should have a dot on this line and a dot on this line. Okay. X-intercept is 9. X-axis, positive 9. Which direction do I go? To the right. 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Way over on the end, towards Miss Hoosier's room. Very good. Way over to 9. That's my x-intercept. My y-intercept is 7. That's got to be on this line. And so we go up. Why do we go up, Tony? You're right. Very good. So we go up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Notice, today, every single time you'll have a point on the x-axis, you'll have a point on the y-axis. Then you would take your ruler and you would connect them, and I know it's not very good on here. Okay? On the problems today that you have to graph, Tone, this is going to be your favorite answer. You do not have to show me work. But on the problems like this, where you have to give me the x and y intercept, you're going to have to write stuff down. Agreed? All right. Grab, I'll get you paper because there's not any back here. Get your laptops out. If you haven't restarted today, since you've been at school, I would restart and then get logged into Alex.